The 1950 Mercury from Cobra wasn't just a car, it was a weaponized street machine that took 4 identical builds to create. Eddie Paul's custom shop chopped the roof so severely that stunt drivers complained about visibility, and one of the hero cars was stolen from Stallone's storage unit, only to mysteriously resurface at a European auction 15 years later. But why did the filmmakers install nitrous boost technology that wouldn't become popular in movies for another decade? How did a car with only 110 horsepower manage to look so threatening on screen? And which surviving Cobra Mercury ended up gone in 60 seconds? These are 20 weird facts about Cobra's 1950 Mercury that will blow your mind. Number 20. The 4 identical assassins. Hollywood needed 4 identical Mercury coupes to bring the menacing Cobra car to life, but here's where it gets weird. They weren't actually identical at all. The hero car featured a fully detailed interior with custom gauges and switches that never appeared on camera. 2 stunt cars had reinforced frames and roll cages so obvious that several chase scenes had to be reshot from different angles. The 4th car? It was basically a shell on wheels, used only for the explosion scene. Eddie Paul's team spent 3 weeks trying to make them look uniform, but freeze frame the movie, and you'll spot different wheel designs, mismatched trim pieces, and even varying shades of black paint. The production spent $70,000 per car in 1986 money, more than most people's houses cost. When filming wrapped, Stallone tried to buy all 4, but the studio had already crushed 2 of them without telling him. Number 19. The stolen hero car mystery. In 1994, someone broke into Stallone's private storage facility and stole the main hero car from Cobra. Not his Rambo knife collection, not his Rocky memorabilia, specifically the Mercury. The thief knew exactly what they wanted. Security footage showed 2 men in masks who spent 45 minutes disconnecting the car's custom alarm system that Eddie Paul had installed. Here's the bizarre part: the car surfaced at a Monaco auction in 2009 with perfect documentation showing a clear ownership chain that made no sense. The auction house claimed it had been in a private Japanese collection since 1987, but Stallone had photos of himself with the car at his house in 1990. The FBI got involved, lawyers flew to Europe, and then suddenly, the car was withdrawn from auction. A week later, it appeared in Stallone's garage with no explanation. He's never publicly discussed how he got it back, and the auction house deleted all records of the listing. Number 18. The Nitrous Pioneer. The Cobra Mercury featured a nitrous oxide boost system in 1986, making it one of the first movie cars to showcase the technology. But here's the insane part. The system was fully functional, not a prop. Eddie Paul installed a real 150-shot nitrous kit that the stunt drivers accidentally triggered during a chase scene, launching the heavy Mercury into a wheelie that nearly flipped the car backward. The footage was so spectacular that director George P. Cosmatos wanted to reshoot every chase with the nitrous activated. The insurance company threatened to pull coverage if they used it again. They compromised by adding the distinctive nitrous purge sound in post-production for several scenes where the system wasn't even activated. The Fast and Furious franchise wouldn't popularize nitrous in movies until 2001, making Cobra 15 years ahead of the trend. The original nitrous bottle is still installed in the surviving hero car, though Stallone had it permanently disconnected after buying it back. Number 17. The license plate lawsuit. The ADU SOM 50 license plate became an unexpected legal nightmare. A California Mercury enthusiast named Mike Morrison had registered that exact plate for his restored 1950 Mercury in 1983. When he saw the movie, he sued Warner Brothers for using his personalized plate without permission. The studio claimed it was a coincidence, but Morrison's lawyer produced registration documents and photos of his car at shows with the plate clearly visible. Here's where it gets strange. Morrison's car was black with a chopped top, almost identical to the movie car. The case was settled out of court for an undisclosed amount, but Morrison had to sign an agreement that he would never display the plate publicly again. He framed it in his garage instead. Years later, he admitted that Eddie Paul had approached him at a car show in 1985 and offered to buy the plate for $500. Morrison refused, thinking it was a joke. Number 16. The Flathead Deception. The movie portrayed the Mercury as having massive power, but the stock 255.4 cubic inch Flathead V8 only produced 110 horsepower. That's less than a modern Honda Civic. Eddie Paul's solution was brilliant and ridiculous. He installed hidden electric motors in the wheel wells that could spin the rear tires while the car was stationary, creating massive burnouts that the anemic Flathead could never achieve. During the parking garage scene, the Mercury appears to smoke its tires for 30 seconds straight. In reality, the Flathead was at idle while the hidden motors did all the work. The smoke was so thick that the film crew had to evacuate the garage twice. The electric motor system added 300 pounds to an already heavy car, making the stunt versions handle terribly. One stunt driver described it as trying to drift a bank vault. Number 15, the Mercury badge mystery. Every single Mercury badge was shaved off the Cobra cars, but not for the reason you'd think. The customization team removed them because Mercury's parent company, Ford, refused to let their badges appear in an R-rated movie featuring graphic violence. This created a problem. Without badges, test audiences didn't know what kind of car it was. The art department created fictional badges that said Cobra in Mercury-style script, but Stallone vetoed them as too obvious. The final solution was to have Marion refer to it as a vintage Mercury in dialogue. The only time the car's make is mentioned in the entire film. Sharp-eyed viewers can spot glue residue where the badges were removed on the trunk lid. Eddie Paul kept all the removed badges in a box, later selling them to collectors for $100 each with a certificate saying they were from the actual movie cars. Number 14, the Gone in 60 Seconds connection. One of the surviving Cobra Mercury stunt cars allegedly appeared in the 2000 remake of Gone in 60 Seconds, but the story is weirder than anyone realized. The car wasn't repainted or modified. It appears in Eleanor's garage in the background, still wearing its Cobra black paint and chopped top. Nicolas Cage specifically requested it as an Easter egg for car movie fans. But here's the twist. The car was supposed to be prominently featured in a chase scene where Eleanor races against various classic customs. The scene was shot over 3 nights with the Mercury driven by a professional stunt driver. When they reviewed the footage, the black car was nearly invisible in the night scenes. Instead of reshooting with proper lighting, they cut the entire sequence. The Mercury appears on screen for less than 4 seconds. The stunt driver later revealed that the car handled so poorly from its Cobra modifications that it couldn't keep up with the other vehicles anyway. Number 13, the chopped roof nightmare. Eddie Paul chopped 3 inches from the Mercury's roof, but the modification created unexpected problems during filming. The reduced headroom meant that Brian Thompson, who played the Night Slasher, couldn't fit in the car while wearing his costume's spiked shoulder pads. They had to cut a hole in the driver's seat and remove the floor padding so he could sit low enough. Even then, his head touched the headliner. Stallone, who is 5'10", had to slouch dramatically in every driving scene, creating the unintentionally cool, laid-back driving position that became part of his character. The chopped roof also reduced visibility so severely that the stunt drivers used a system of mirrors attached to the hood during chase scenes. These mirrors are visible in several shots but were painted matte black to blend in. One stunt driver quit after the first day, claiming he couldn't see well enough to drive safely above 30 miles per hour. Number 12. The hidden roll bar secret. The roll bars visible in the Mercury weren't just for safety, they were structural necessities. When Eddie Paul's team chopped the roof, they weakened the car's body so severely that the doors wouldn't close properly. The Mercury would literally flex in the middle during hard cornering, causing the doors to pop open. The roll bar was welded directly to the frame to prevent the body from folding in half. This created another problem. The bars blocked the rear view mirror completely. The solution was to install a periscope-style mirror system that ran along the ceiling, but it made the interior look like a submarine. They painted everything matte black and lit the interior scenes so darkly that viewers couldn't see the bizarre mirror setup. In one deleted scene where Cobretti adjusts his rearview mirror, Stallone is actually adjusting a fake mirror while looking at the real one mounted on the ceiling. Number 11. The Overdrive mystery lever. The Mercury's optional overdrive system became an accidental plot device. The system was controlled by a pull cable under the dash that looked mysterious and high-tech to 1980s audiences. Director Cosmatos saw it during a car tour and demanded they write it into a scene. In the final cut, Stallone pulls the lever during the freeway chase, and the car suddenly accelerates. In reality, engaging overdrive would make the car slower, not faster, as it's designed for fuel economy. The prop department added a fake gauge that spun wildly when the lever was pulled, suggesting some kind of boost system. Eddie Paul later admitted he tried to explain how overdrive actually worked, but Cosmatos told him, "It looks cool, that's all that matters." The lever was non-functional in 3 of the 4 cars, as their transmissions had been swapped for automatics to make stunt driving easier. Number 10. The storage unit time capsule. When Stallone's stolen Mercury was recovered, investigators found bizarre modifications that weren't in the movie. Someone had installed a modern GPS tracking system, but it was from 1997, 3 years after the theft. The car's odometer had advanced by exactly 50,000 miles, suggesting it had been driven regularly for years. The trunk contained receipts from auto shows across Europe, business cards from collectors, and photos of the car at various events with the faces cut out. Most disturbing was a detailed logbook documenting every mile driven, every person who sat in it, and every modification made. The final entry was dated 1 week before the car appeared in Monaco. The handwriting matched no one involved in the theft or recovery. Stallone had the car completely restored to movie condition, but he kept the logbook. He's shown it to a few journalists but won't let anyone photograph it. Number 9. The paint shop disaster. The matte black paint job nearly ended the entire production. Eddie Paul's team used an experimental flat black paint that looked perfect to the eye but caused massive problems on camera. Under the strong movie lights, the paint would bubble and crack from heat. They had to repaint the cars every 3 days of shooting. Worse, the paint absorbed so much light that the cinematographer couldn't properly expose shots of the car and actors in the same frame. The solution was to mix reflective aluminum powder into the paint for the hero car, creating a semi-gloss finish that looked matte on camera. But the aluminum caused another problem. It interfered with the car's radio equipment. Every time Stallone keyed his police radio in the car, it created static that ruined the sound recording. They eventually had to dub all his radio conversations in post-production. The paint formula was so problematic that Eddie Paul destroyed all records of it to prevent anyone from requesting it again. Number 8. The pontoon body disaster. The Mercury's smooth pontoon styling created an aerodynamic nightmare during high-speed scenes. Without separate fenders to channel airflow, the car would literally lift off the ground at speeds over 70 miles per hour. The stunt team discovered this during the first highway chase when the car went airborne over a slight rise and landed so hard it broke the front suspension. Eddie Paul's solution was to add invisible air dams under the front bumper, but they kept scraping and throwing sparks during low shots. The final fix was to add 200 pounds of steel plates in the trunk, which made the car handle even worse, but kept it planted. During the climactic chase, the Mercury was actually traveling at only 45 miles per hour, with the film sped up in post. One stunt driver said it was the most unstable car he'd ever driven at speed, comparing it to wrestling a bear on ice. Number 7. The Chrome Delete Conspiracy. Every piece of chrome trim was removed from the Cobra Mercury, but Warner Brothers received a cease and desist letter from Mercury's chrome supplier, Chromalloy Corporation. They claimed the removal of their product from such a prominent movie car was damaging to their reputation. The legal threat was bizarre. How can you sue someone for not showing your product? The real story was that Chromalloy had a product placement deal with another 1986 action film that featured pristine, chrome-laden cars. They feared the Cobra car's menacing, chrome-free look would make their products seem outdated. Warner Brothers lawyers laughed off the threat, but as a joke, they had Eddie Paul chrome plate a set of dummy bullets for Stallone's gun. In the courtroom scene, Cabretti loads these chrome bullets while the camera lingers on them. It was a subtle middle finger to Chromalloy that no one noticed until the DVD commentary revealed it. Number 6. The European Frankenstein. The Mercury that surfaced in Monaco had been transformed into something bizarre. European customizers had added gull-wing doors, claiming it was how the car should have been designed. They installed a modern Mercedes V12 engine, complete with German TÜV certification papers. The interior was reupholstered in endangered sea turtle leather, which is why the car couldn't legally return to the United States. Most insanely, they added a champagne cooler where the nitrous system used to be, with custom Waterford crystal glasses held in place by the original roll bar. The modifications cost an estimated €500,000. When Stallone got the car back, he spent another fortune returning it to movie specifications. The Mercedes engine was sold to a collector in Dubai. The gull-wing door mechanisms were so well integrated that Eddie Paul couldn't remove them without destroying the car's structure. If you look closely at the recovered car today, you can still see the mounting points. Number 5. The Monterey name game. The 1950 Mercury Monterey nameplate created unexpected problems during production. Ford owned the rights to Monterey and had just launched a new Mercury Monterey minivan in 1986. Their marketing department panicked that audiences would associate their family-friendly minivan with Stallone's violent cop movie. They demanded all Monterey badges be removed and that no character mention the model name. This is why Marion only says vintage Mercury. Ford's lawyers sent daily watchers to the set to ensure compliance, but Eddie Paul pranked them by creating fake badges that said Monterey Killer and installing them for Ford's inspection. The lawyers photographed them as evidence of non-compliance before realizing they'd been fooled. In retaliation, Ford pulled all product placement from Warner Brothers movies for 2 years. The irony? The Mercury Monterey minivan was discontinued after just one model year, while the Cobra car became a cultural icon. Number 4, the independent suspension surprise. The 1950 Mercury's independent front suspension was considered advanced for its time, but it nearly killed a stunt driver during Cobra's production. The suspension's unusual geometry caused unpredictable handling when combined with the chopped roof's altered center of gravity. During the parking garage chase, the front suspension collapsed entirely, sending the car spinning into a concrete pillar. The impact was so severe that the stunt driver was knocked unconscious. When they reviewed the footage, the crash looked intentional and spectacular. Cosmatos loved it so much he wrote it into the script as a deliberate ramming maneuver. The destroyed car was rebuilt with a solid front axle from a truck, making it handle predictably, but ride terribly. Every shot of the Mercury hitting bumps or jumping was done with this truck axle car. The bone-jarring ride was so bad that Stallone refused to do any driving scenes in it, using his stand-in instead. And before our final revelations, don't forget to hit that subscribe button for more videos and leave a comment if you knew any of these facts. Number 3, the lead sled lead problem. The term lead sled was literal for the Cobra Mercury. When Eddie Paul's team shaved the trim and filled the body seams, they used actual lead, not modern body filler. This was period correct for 1950s customs, but created a toxic nightmare on set. California had just passed strict environmental laws about lead exposure. The production had to hire hazmat teams whenever the cars were modified or repaired. Actors couldn't touch the cars without gloves. The health department shut down filming for 2 days when they found lead dust in the craft services area. The insurance company demanded daily blood tests for anyone who worked near the cars. Brian Thompson later claimed his character's pale, sickly appearance wasn't makeup, it was mild lead poisoning from spending weeks in the car. Warner Brothers settled several health claims from crew members years later. The hero car was secretly stripped and refilled with modern materials before mighty Stallone took possession, but he doesn't know this. The car he owns is technically not screen accurate. Number 2, the factory price scandal. Building the Cobra Mercury Custom cost more than buying an entire Mercury dealership in 1950. Each movie car cost $70,000 to build in 1986, but that's not the shocking part. Eddie Paul's receipts, discovered during the Monaco investigation, showed he billed Warner Brothers for 4 cars but built 5. The 5th car was immediately sold to a Japanese collector for $200,000. Paul claimed it was a backup that was never used, but photos from the set show all 5 cars together. The sold car had unique features not seen in the movie, including a supercharged engine and custom interior by Gucci. Yes, Gucci. When confronted years later, Paul admitted he needed the money to cover cost overruns on the 4 movie cars. Warner Brothers never knew about the 5th car because their accountants only verified 4 vehicles were delivered. The Japanese collector still owns it and has turned down million-dollar offers. Number 1, the matte black mystery machine. The most insane secret about Cobra's Mercury is that audiences never actually saw the real paint color. The matte black paint looked purple under certain lighting conditions, a phenomenon called chromatic shift that nobody anticipated. During the first week of filming, all the nighttime footage was unusable because the car looked like a giant eggplant. The cinematographer tried different lights, filters, and camera angles, but nothing worked. The solution was insane and expensive. They shot every scene with the car twice. Once with the normal matte black paint for daytime scenes, and once with the car repainted in glossy dark blue for night scenes. In post-production, they digitally darkened the blue to black, a process that cost $50,000 per minute of footage in 1986. This is why the car's finish looks different in various scenes. You're literally looking at different colors that were digitally matched. The purple shifting matte black paint was so problematic that every surviving car was repainted in normal black after filming. The original paint formula supposedly created the effect using crushed butterfly wings mixed into the base, though Eddie Paul might have been joking when he claimed this. No one has successfully recreated the exact original color, and Warner Brothers destroyed all the paint samples to prevent future productions from experiencing the same nightmare. When car collectors analyze the movie frame by frame, they can identify which scenes used which paint by examining the light reflection patterns. The Cobra Mercury remains the only movie car in history whose actual color remains a mystery because what appeared on screen never existed in real life.